rational exponents. For the counting numbers m and n, where n does not equal 1, and b is any real number for which b to the 1 over n is a real number. If we have b to the m over n, well, we can always split this up. The equivalent we can say is b to the 1 over m in parentheses, and then on the outside have an m. On the other hand, we can also say b to the m inside the parentheses, and outside the parentheses to the power of 1 over n. Likewise, keep in mind, if you have negative exponents, b to the negative m over n, we gotta take the reciprocal to convert into positives, right? So it becomes 1 over b to the m over n. And do realize, in this case, b does not equal 0. A power of the form b to the m over n or b to the negative m over n is said to have rational exponents. In other words, exact exponents, exact numbered exponents, even though they're fractions. Simplify the following examples. Notice that they are in rational form, agreed? So A. For A, we have 25 to the 5 halves. So be aware, we have two different options on how to simplify this one. Let's say we didn't have a calculator. If we didn't have a calculator, we can go 25 to the power of 5, and then take the root of 1 half. Notice we split them up. We split the 5 halves into exponent portion, the exponent portion of 5, and the root portion, 1 over 2. We always have 1 over the root. Or likewise, we can also split up into 25 to the 1 half first, the root first, and then the exponent of 5. Do notice, in most cases, one way is easier than the other, or one will take less time than the other, depending on how you see it. So in this case, I'd rather do the root first because it's of a root of a small number, rather than the exponent first. Because if I go 25 times 25 times 25 times 25 times 25, 5 times, right? We would end up getting a huge number. And now taking the root of that huge number, it might take a little more process or more mind and thought to be able to simplify it. So instead, 25 to the 1 half, what number times itself twice, right? Will give you 25. That one seems a little bit easier from my point of view. So we call it 5. And remember, it's a plus or minus because it's an even number root. So we need a plus or minus. And now we do the power of 5. So once again, realize that I chose to use this one instead, because doing the root makes it easier at the beginning. Even though later on, well, it's still not as hard anymore because we're only doing 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5, right? Which would be easier than 25 times 25 times 25 times 25 times 25, etc. So now, 5 times 25 times 12, or pardon me, 5 times 5 times 5. Therefore, we would get 3125, right? Or here's where your calculator would come in really handy. So I highly recommend you use a calculator for reference. So let's use our calculator. Do remember we have 5, caret key, 5, to say 5 power of 5. And it gives us 3125. Okay, so that seems to work. Let's not forget the plus or minus, right? Because we had a plus or minus from the beginning. So it's possible that we could get a positive or negative answer in this case. So let's try the next one then. Let's not forget to circle our answer, right? B. Choose 16 to the 2/3. Once again, you're welcome to separate them in either direction that you choose to. You can do first the exponential root or first the exponent. I would rather do the root first. So choose 16 to the 1/3. This is the exponential root, 1/3. And then the power of 2. So choose 16 to the power of, or to the root of 1/3. What number times itself 3 times will give you 216? Hey, 6 times 6, 36, 36 times 6. Choose 16, right? Or you can check with your calculator. So therefore we can say it's 6 to the power of 2. And now 6 squared, 6 times 6? That's very straightforward now, 36. Look how easy it was versus going the opposite direction. Okay, so there is our answer. Notice that in this case, it's a 1/3 exponent to begin with, or root, I should say. It's an odd number root, the 3 on the bottom. So meaning we don't need a plus or minus like before. Just as a quick check. Let's do a quick check. Let's clear it out. Let's notice that we can go choose 16, caret key, open parentheses, you have a T83, or some T84s. T84s, if you put the caret key, it pushes it erases it out for you as an exponent. We're going to say 1 divided by 3. Close your parentheses, and it gives us 6. Now we can go 6 squared, 6 caret key 2, should give us 36, right? Or we can do it all at once. Choose 16, caret key, open parentheses, 2 divided by 3 would give us 36. Hey, it works either way. So, not a bad deal, right? You might be wondering, well, then why can't I do it all with the calculator? That's fine. But be aware. Show some process into it. Show that you've actually learned it a little bit, right? Make sure that you know how to do it even without a calculator, in case your calculator all of a sudden runs out of batteries, depending on the case, and you're not able to use it, right? Couldn't hurt to be able to do it both by hand and calculator. Okay, let's go on to the next one. C, negative 216 to the 1/3. Notice that it has a negative exponent in this case. So the first thing we got to do is convert it to a positive exponent. 1 over, so the reciprocal of 216, right? Do notice that negative sign on the 216 still applies onto that. Agreed? It has nothing to do with your exponent. But once you take the reciprocal, in other words, flip the fraction, it becomes positive. So you can either put it under a fraction, or if it's under a fraction, it's part of your denominator, you bring it up to the top to convert it to a positive exponent. In this case, we have to bring it down to convert it to a positive exponent. And now we can do negative 216 to the 1/3, 6 times 6 times 6 times 6, 36, right? And it's a negative, so it's negative 6 times negative 6 times negative 6, right? So in that case, our answer is negative 1 over 6 in this case. And there's our answer. Once again, real quick check. Calculator time. Parentheses, negative sign, the sign next to your enter button, choose 16. Close your parentheses, caret key, open parentheses, and we have a negative, right? So negative sign, 1 divided by 3. This is to write it just as stated. There we go, we should get negative 0.16666, etc. repeated, right? Well, let's see, negative sign, 1 divided by 6 should give us the exact same number. Yeah, it works, it gives us the exact same number. But notice the calculator won't give us the fraction number that we just got, okay? So be aware of that. Okay, so let's go on for the next one then. D, we have 4 to the 3/2. And once again, we can split it either way. Exponent first or root first, your choice. But I kind of prefer the root of 1/2, right? And then the exponent of 3. So what number times itself twice will give you 4? Ah, that's pretty easy, right? 2 times 2 gives us 4, right? 2 times 2, 4. So yeah, plus or minus 2, because it's an even root. Once again, in the previous one, on C, we didn't need a plus or minus. All we needed was a negative on that number. Agreed? Okay. So now what do we do? Well, let's not forget the exponent, 3. In other words, 2 times 2 times 2, or negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, right? So in this case, we could get plus or minus 8. So there's our answer. And going for the last one, E. We have 3x squared to the power of negative 10 over 5. So this might make it easier to see if you write as a fraction exponent, right? Regular fraction sign. Do not overthink this problem. It looks extremely difficult, agreed? But it's not as difficult as you think. Do not oversee the fact that you can simplify exponents. 10 divided by 5 gives us negative 2, right? So it's simplified. 10 divided by 5 is 2, and it's still negative. So we have 3x squared to the power of negative 2. Well, now we can convert it to a positive exponent by taking the reciprocal, putting it 1 over 3 times x squared to the power of 2. The exponent became positive now, agreed? And now we can distribute the exponent. So it becomes 1 over 3 squared, x squared. Well, let's not forget, times 2, because there's an exponent outside already, right? We've already distributed to the 3, so we got to distribute to the x squared as well. So 3 squared, 3 times 3 gives us 9, and x to the 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. So that gives us finally our answer of 1 over 9 x to the power of 4. There we go. That would be our complete answer. Final answer, right? Circle your solution as well. Highly recommend that.